A beautiful couple thrives in Atlanta's hip-hop scene.
He was a performing rap artist.
He was gaining some traction in the streets of Atlanta. She was very attracted to that exciting lifestyle.
She fell in love with him.
But when one of these lovebirds is found clinging to life, evil secrets are revealed.
She was trying to tell her something, but she couldn't really make out what she was trying to say to her.
Investigators can immediately tell this was no random intruder.
She does notice that the door is unlocked, and this gives her a sinking feeling in her stomach.
Whoever committed the crime was led in voluntarily.
But tracking down the killer will be easier said than done.
What do you mean he's gone?
How did he just do this and leave? He had been on the run for 3.5 years.
The Mexican authorities got involved.
Everything was just a roller coaster.
May 27, 2014. It's just before morning twilight in the Atlanta bedroom community of Venetian Hills.
Venetian Hills is an urban environment, predominantly hard-working, middle-class community. It serves as a very good place for persons who work within the city.
But just after 3 a.m., as many residents are getting their last moments of sleep, the quiet night is interrupted by a harrowing 911 call.
I need ambulance, please. I thought somebody outside. Okay, is she awake? No.
She frantically begs them to get there quick because her sister is dying.
Okay, she's saying unconscious. Okay, breathing.
The caller, LaToya Jackson, provides the address of her mother's apartment where she and her sister Rashawn had been staying the night.
Atlanta police officers and emergency medical technicians rushed to the mother's apartment.
When they arrive, first responders find Rashawn unresponsive on the floor, surrounded by her devastated mother and sister.
We can do everything we can do.
Responding officers start immediately providing rescue techniques. And it's critical because every second counts when it comes to trying to save someone's life.
As Rashawn's life hangs in the balance, her family is left wondering what evil has infiltrated their home and why was Rashawn the target. Born and raised in Atlanta, 34-year-old Rashawn Jackson was always known for her kind and generous spirit.
People really loved her and gravitated toward her. She was a very devoted daughter, a very loving aunt.
She liked going shopping, buying gifts for her nieces and nephews. She loved every last person that she's around. She's just that type of person.
Rashawn also understood the value of hard work.
She was a manager at a popular Atlanta restaurant.
She was a good employee. You know, she would work all the time, very dependable, very trustworthy.
The first time I met Rashawn, I just started working at the Chick-fil-A Dorf House, and she was a leader there. She's very outspoken. She loved to teach, so I can go to her about anything. She's very easy to talk to. She's funny at times, and I just loved being around her.
Even with all her success, Rashawn dreamed of having someone to share it with.
Rashawn was also very optimistic about love. She wanted to find someone that she could share life with.
And when Rashawn met a man named Maurice Nesbitt in 2009, it seemed as though she'd finally found her match.
Excuse me, how you doing? I know you're not leaving already.
They initially met at a club. He approached her.
Yeah, I actually got to get up early in the morning for work.
So what's your name?
It's Rashawn.
Rashawn, I'm Maurice. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Rashawn was intrigued by Maurice's bold personality and charming demeanor.
On his mother's side, he was Hispanic. His mom still resided in Mexico, and Maurice was actually bilingual.
He was good looking, he was charismatic, and she was drawn to all of those things about him.
Can I trouble you for one more dance before you do?
Okay, just one?
Just one.
Instead of catching her ride home, Rashawn decided to head back upstairs with Maurice and never looked back.
They ended up dancing the night away. After that, Rashawn was smitten.
They got to know each other. They started dating.
She was drawn to his character, his personality, the way he made her feel.
But Maurice wasn't just charming. He was also talented.
Maurice was an up-and-coming rapper. He had some popularity in the city of Atlanta.
He went by the name of Mega Ruckus.
He had some videos they put out, and he was gaining some traction.
He even had a video with Young Thug, who was rising in his popularity in Atlanta at the time. He was moving in those circles.
The Atlanta rap scene is kind of the mecca for rappers trying to make it in the South. Maurice made lots of music videos showing off cars, money, jewelry.
It really appeared as though Maurice's music career was going to take off, and Rashawn was very attracted to that exciting lifestyle.
As far as Rashawn was concerned, Maurice was someone with a bright future ahead of him.
She was crazy about him.
The couple were head over heels in love, and they were making plans to move in together.
But now, instead of moving in with the man she loved, Rashawn has been shot inside her mother's apartment and left clinging to life.
It was quickly determined that the victim had been shot in the head, point blank.
Initially, you can see with the contact wound to the head that it was not likely that she would survive.
Pulse is gone.
Unfortunately, with all their efforts to save her life, it was too late. Rashawn Jackson is dead.
34-year-old restaurant manager Rashawn Jackson had fallen head over heels for up-and-coming Atlanta rapper Maurice Nesbitt, a.k.a. Mega Ruckus.
She saw him as someone that she could really spend her life with and have a serious relationship with.
She loved his creativity and his passion for his music. It seemed like his career was getting ready to take off.
But now, Rashawn is lying in a pool of blood with a fatal gunshot wound.
Paramedics attempted to provide first aid, but the victim had been shot in the head, point blank.
Pulse is gone.
Unfortunately, with all their efforts to save her life, it was too late. Rashawn Jackson is dead.
Officers give the devastating news to Rashawn's mother and sister.
Rashawn's mother was beside herself.
The family was just too distraught to even communicate with police officers at that time.
In an effort to get a more cohesive and coherent statement and give them time to calm down, they did have to take them down to the police precinct.
As Rashawn's family continues to process the tragedy, detectives arrive to begin processing the crime scene.
Her body was in between the bed and the closet.
It seems Rashawn was caught off guard by her killer. There's a pool of blood under Rashawn's head, as well as blood splatter leading into the direction of the closet.
Around the room, detectives locate more potential clues.
We see some cigarettes in the room. We see a couple of beer cans.
These items were collected and sent off to the crime lab in hopes that they would find DNA evidence.
Investigators also find ballistic evidence that they can try to tie back to the murder weapon.
The investigators find a 9mm shell casing, which is collected and sent off to ballistic analysis.
Outside of Rashawn's bedroom, the rest of the apartment appears to be undisturbed.
When investigators checked the entirety of the house, they found that there's no evidence of forced entry. The house had not been ransacked. There appeared that no items were missing.
It seems more like whoever killed Rashawn was either let into the apartment or had a key of their own.
This must have been someone Rashawn knew.
Hoping to get an idea of who that person might be, officers begin a canvass of the apartment complex.
Officers began door to door, canvassing the neighborhood.
But while several neighbors heard the gunshot, none of them saw the person who fired the gun.
Without a visual description, homicide detectives had very little to go on.
Until they meet with the apartment complex's leasing manager.
Detectives discovered that there are cameras located on the property that could provide some surveillance video.
All right. Here's the parking lot just before 3 a.m.
He shows detectives the footage, and they can see a white car pulling up around 2:41 a.m.
The vehicle parks just a few yards away from the Jacksons' front door, and a shadowy figure exits.
You see him get out of his car, you can see him walk in the apartment.
For the next few minutes, there's no other activity on the video.
He stayed in there for probably 30 minutes to 45 minutes.
At that point, he can be seen exiting the apartment, entering his vehicle, and speeding away.
As they continue to watch the video, minutes later, they could see emergency vehicles arriving on the scene to attend to Rashawn.
Radio, we have a confirmation on suspect vehicles.
Detectives believe this is no coincidence.
Detectives are certain that this man has to be Rashawn's killer.
Police in Atlanta, Georgia are investigating the homicide of Rashawn Jackson after the 34-year-old restaurant manager was shot dead in the middle of the night.
In this once quiet neighborhood of Venetian Hills, the people are just fearful. If something like this could happen to Rashawn, what about the rest of them?
But detectives have a hunch this was a targeted attack. And now they've discovered surveillance video of Rashawn's suspected killer leaving the crime scene.
It definitely looked like he was in a hurry to get out of there.
While the video is compelling evidence, it's not a slam dunk for investigators.
It does not provide a clear view of the suspect's face, nor the tag number on the vehicle. The video surveillance is just too grainy to make out clear details.
Still, they radioed to police in the area with a description of the car.
The detective issued an all-points bulletin to be on the lookout for that vehicle. The white sedan.
News of Rashawn's death soon spreads throughout the greater Atlanta area.
When I first heard of Rashawn's passing, I was on my way to work at that moment where we worked together. Once I found out I couldn't work the rest of the day, a few of us couldn't work the rest of the day. So it was, the hardest news.
Meanwhile, detectives head back to the station to speak with Rashawn's grieving mother and sister.
They started trying to figure out what happened. What did they hear? What did they see? Who could have done this to Rashawn?
Rashawn's loved ones are still overwhelmed by everything that's happened.
They are absolutely distraught, but they want to see justice served.
Detectives start the interview by asking the family members to slowly walk them through everything that happened that night.
I'm so sorry for your loss. We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
Can you please tell us everything you remember about what happened?
Yes, well, it was a normal evening.
Rashawn's family tells detectives that yesterday was just like another day. Nothing stuck out of the ordinary about Rashawn's activity or her behavior.
They were at her mother's home, and Rashawn had came home from work, and they were all just hanging out for a little while.
They all went to bed around 11 p.m.
LaToya says she distinctly remembers locking the front door before turning in for the night.
She told the police that she locked the door, and she went upstairs and she laid in the bed with her mom and fell asleep.
I'm a heavy sleeper, so I didn't hear the gunshot go off, but it woke Mama up.
That's right.
Around 3 a.m., Miss Jackson was awakened by a loud pop.
I tried to find the source of the noise.
It startles her, so she gets up out of her bed and moves towards the sound.
Miss Jackson says she walked into the living room and didn't see anything unusual. However, she did hear a car start outside.
She hears the sound of tires screeching.
At this point, she looks out the window and doesn't see the car, but she does notice the door is unlocked, and this gives her a sinking feeling in her stomach.
Rashawn? Rashawn!
Concerned, Rashawn's mother went to check on her.
She called out to Rashawn, and there was no answer.
When she opened the bedroom door, she saw Rashawn lying on the floor near her closet.
She was unsure of what exactly was going on, but as she approached her daughter, she saw the blood.
Rashawn! Oh, my baby! Latoya!
Rashawn's sister runs in the room. She goes to assist her sister, and her sister's barely breathing.
What happened? I don't know!
Miss Jackson tells detectives that for a moment, Rashawn was still conscious and trying to say something.
Oh, come on, baby. Come on, baby. We're here.
She tries to, talk to her, say don't die, stay awake, and she says Rashawn is trying to speak to her.
She's trying to say something to her, but she can't get the words out. So at this point, Rashawn's sister grabs the phone to dial 911.
I need ambulance, please. My sister is sad.
Rashawn's mother says she held her daughter in her arms until first responders arrived.
She said she was trying to feel for her heartbeat, but by the time paramedics arrived, it was too late.
Her daughter basically died in her arms.
Did you hear anyone else inside of the home? Was Rashawn fighting with anyone?
Not at all.
There is no statements from her mother or sister that they heard any type of arguing or anything like that. All we knew was there was a gunshot.
It's a horrifying story, and investigators offer their condolences for the family's loss.
But they also have an important question they're hoping the family will be able to answer.
They were asking them who could have done this to her.
The two women immediately give the same answer.
There's only one person that they could think of.
They told him, basically, that the only person that could have done it was Maurice Nesbitt.
Police in Atlanta have just heard a harrowing account from Rashawn Jackson's mother about her daughter dying in her arms after suffering a fatal gunshot wound from an apparent intruder.
There was nothing more that she could do, and the pain and the devastation that she felt in that moment as the life left her daughter's body, she would never be the same again.
Based on evidence at the Jackson home, it seems that Rashawn Jackson opened the door for her killer, and her loved ones have a strong suspect.
They told him, basically, that the only person that could have done it was Maurice Nesbitt.
When Rashawn met Maurice in 2009, she was instantly infatuated with him. He possessed this larger-than-life rapper persona, and she was mesmerized by that.
He sold her a pipe dream that she could have it all with him, and she wanted to believe it.
It didn't take long, though, before Rashawn's family started to notice a change in her.
She changed when she was with him. She wasn't the same anymore.
Her mood turned dark, and she began not to be the bubbly person that they knew.
And I think that's when her family started to become suspicious of what was happening.
I never liked him.
Rashawn's mother definitely did not approve of Maurice. When Maurice came around, it was kind of a different energy that did not need to be in her house at that time.
Rashawn's mother says when she first heard Maurice rapping under his Mega Ruckus persona, she was shocked by how crude his lyrics were.
His songs were about violence, guns, and his lyrics were very demeaning towards women.
I expressed my concerns to Rashawn, but she just brushed it off.
When he talked to Rashawn about it, she said he only rapped about those things, and that's not who he was in real life.
But before long, the family noticed other telltale signs that something was horribly wrong.
They began to notice marks on Rashawn's body. And when they asked her about it, she would make excuses as though she fell or bumped into something.
And it was unlike her to lie to us, but we could tell that she was covering up for him.
They believed that Maurice had begun abusing her.
And according to the family, the abuse wasn't only physical.
He was taking her hard-earned money from her.
I'm gonna need another 1K for this video.
Maurice did not have a steady income. He would definitely come to Rayshawn for money if he needed it, whether it be for music or whenever he asked for it. Rayshawn was being used.
Baby, are you sure? I mean, we've already spent a lot.
I know, baby, but I promise when this video pop off, it's gonna make a difference for the both of us.
He made promises to Rashawn. You know, he promised her that they would move in together, that they would be a family, and she took those to heart. And she would actually give him some of her checks in an effort to show him how much she loved him.
Thank you, baby. This new video gonna be fire.
Well, you know I'm your biggest fan.
I only heard maybe 1 or 2 songs. They were not hit makers to me.
I think he was making his life or trying to appear more grandiose than it actually was. No one was really buying what he was selling, so his career didn't take off.
We tried to convince Rashawn that she deserved better and that she needed to dump him.
They started to tell her, like, hey, maybe he's not this great guy that you think he is, and you should probably separate from him.
Eventually, she started to listen to us.
After time, Rashawn began to understand that the abuse was occurring, and she decided that she would not continue it.
Finally, in May 2014, after almost 6 years of dating, Rashawn worked up the courage to break up with Maurice.
She told Maurice that she was tired of being used and abused by him.
But she was still afraid of him. That's why she moved in with me.
To escape his reach and access, she moved back in with her mother.
He was still trying to harass her on the phone.
She didn't have no contact at all, but it was ways Maurice found her. That was what she would say, he would find me.
They had been apart for probably about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when, you know, he didn't stop calling, didn't stop trying to text her, but she was separating herself from him, just going to work and just trying to get things back to normal.
I think that's why he came to the house last night, to confront her in person.
Based on what they're hearing, detectives agree that Maurice is a probable suspect. They just have one more question for Rashawn's loved ones.
Do you know what kind of car Maurice drives?
Yes, a white sedan.
The suspect from their surveillance footage was also driving a white sedan.
That's him. That's definitely him.
Armed with the family statement, detectives begin their work to bring Maurice to justice.
They have information that Maurice Nesbitt drives his white car, but that isn't sufficient, you know, for them to get an arrest warrant because nobody saw him shoot her. They needed more evidence, so they started doing a background search of Maurice Nesbitt.
When they run the background check, investigators discover that Maurice has a long criminal history.
They discovered that Maurice Nesbitt was a convicted felon. He did have a prior history for drugs, for guns, and also for domestic violence.
Some of the police reports were filed by Rashawn herself.
In one incident report from 2009, Rashawn reports that Maurice punched her in the face and kicked her in the mouth.
Maurice threatened to kill not only her, but her whole family if she didn't do what he wanted her to do.
Rashawn told police that Maurice was terrorizing her. It's clear to the detectives that this was an abusive relationship that was spiraling out of control.
And when investigators pull Maurice's DMV records, they confirm what Rashawn's loved ones told them. Maurice owns a white sedan, like the one seen in the surveillance video.
The car description from the DMV records matched the car that was on the crime scene the night of Rashawn's murder.
But the DMV records aren't the only proof the car belongs to Maurice.
They ended up finding one of his rap videos on YouTube. In the video, while he's rapping and stuff, he has this white car in the background.
For the police, this is a clear sign that they're on to the right track.
Detectives needed to speak with Maurice Nesbitt immediately.
Atlanta homicide investigators believe Maurice Nesbitt is responsible for the shooting death of his ex-girlfriend, 34-year-old Rashawn Jackson.
His car was spotted on surveillance at the apartment complex when Rashawn was killed, and he had been abusive to her in the past.
The detective's next move is try to have a sit-down interview and question Maurice, but when they reach out to him, he does not answer the phone.
So at this point, they issue a BOLO for Maurice and a warrant for his arrest.
While patrol officers are on the hunt, investigators continue to build their case.
The DA's office gets involved at that point, and we start issuing subpoenas for phone records to see if, in addition to the car being in a surveillance video, we could link him there with his cell phone.
As they look through the log of calls and texts, what they see lines up with what they heard from Rashawn's family. Maurice refused to accept her rejection.
In the couple's messages, Rashawn is clearly pushing Maurice away, but he refuses to take no as an answer.
Whenever she tries to turn him away, he resorts to threats and insults.
There were several text messages where he would text her back to back to back. Why aren't you answering your phone? Why don't you answer your phone? Where are you?
Less than 2 weeks before the murder, Maurice even sent an overt threat.
Maurice sends a message that every dog has its day, and yours is coming up.
To investigators, this was a clear indication that he was plotting some type of revenge for Rashawn cutting him out of her life.
With every piece of evidence they came across, the police were convinced more and more that Maurice was responsible for this crime.
Their suspicions were heightened when they realized that Maurice was clearly laying low to avoid law enforcement.
Weeks go by without any sign of the wanted man.
There was no doubt in my mind. I knew it was Maurice. At that time, we was wondering, where is Maurice? How did he just do this and leave?
He was doing everything in his power to avoid coming in contact with law enforcement.
Then, on July 23rd, 2014, investigators finally receive a solid lead on their fugitive.
Homicide.
Nearly 2 months after Rashawn was killed, police received a tip that Maurice was seen in Jonesboro, Georgia. Jonesboro is a very small community just south of Atlanta.
Police swiftly respond to the address provided by the tipster and take Maurice into custody. In an interrogation room, they hope he'll come clean, but those hopes are instantly dashed.
When the interrogation starts, Maurice immediately asks for a lawyer.
Give me my lawyer, man.
He declines to answer any questions.
But despite Maurice's unwillingness to give a statement, he has no choice but to give police a sample of his DNA.
They already had a warrant for the DNA, so he couldn't get out of that one. If his DNA is found on the items collected from Rashawn's bedroom, they can place him at the scene of the crime.
Even without a confession, the investigators feel confident in the evidence they've gathered. They charge Maurice with felony murder and book him in the Fulton County Jail.
When Rashawn's family gets the information that Maurice had been arrested, they are relieved that he is finally behind bars.
Knowing that Maurice was finally arrested and actually facing a jury, that brought a big relief.
But that relief is short-lived.
Prosecutors really wanted to have those DNA results before the trial, but it was taking a while.
In Georgia, you have 90 days to indict someone after they've been in custody, or either they're entitled to bond at that point. So once the 90 days came, I believe his attorney filed a motion for a bond reduction hearing, and they presented some information that his health may be at risk, that he had cancer.
I've never heard of Rayshawn saying that he had cancer or being sick at all.
The judge, I'm not sure if they actually verified it or not, but he was granted a bond to deal with the issues surrounding his cancer.
His bond is set at $150,000, and he's actually able to make the bond. He was allowed to be released on an ankle monitor.
For Rashawn's family, this was infuriating and insulting, that the potential killer could just walk out of the courtroom, a free man, essentially.
When I first learned Maurice was out on bond, I felt like there was almost no justice there.
But when the DNA results from the crime scene come back, prosecutors finally feel ready to try the case.
When the test results come back, they are a positive match for the saliva found on the cigarette butts and the beer cans.
It places him in the room, which is really, really strong evidence.
Maurice Nesbitt's murder trial begins on September 25th, 2017. In their opening statement, prosecutors argue that the couple's relationship reached a tipping point when Rashawn finally decided to leave.
She was getting fed up with it, and she had made up her mind and she wasn't going to go back. So, and I guess that's when he decided that if he couldn't have her, then no one else could have her.
Once he felt that his control was being lost and she was finally breaking free, he couldn't handle that.
In the early morning hours of May 27th, Maurice was begging Rashawn to let him see her.
Around 3 o'clock in the morning, Maurice shows up to the apartment.
Records show Maurice had been spamming Rashawn's phone with calls.
So Rayshawn was probably expecting him.
Yeah, look, can I talk to you in person? I just need 5 minutes of your time, and that's it.
He asked to just talk and hang out for a few minutes. Rashawn lets him in.
Victims let their abusers back into their lives for numerous reasons. Emotional attachment, hoping for change, or fear of retaliation. The cycle of abuse can make leaving these type of relationships permanently a difficult challenge.
Prosecutors argue Maurice convinced Rashawn to let him come up to her room.
And this feel like old times. I really been missing you.
Hell no. Maurice, no. I told you it's not like that between me and you anymore.
Instead of parting amicably, Maurice decided that he was going to put his plan in action and end her life.
Okay, if that's what you want.
Because there was no struggle at the scene of the crime, prosecutors believe that Rashawn never saw what was coming. She was totally taken by surprise.
While the woman he claimed to love for 6 years lay on the floor bleeding out, Maurice flees the scene and goes into hiding.
The prosecutors laid an insurmountable amount of evidence.
Maurice could tell things were not going in his favor.
By the 5th day of trial, prosecutors are feeling confident they'll have a win.
I was pleased with the evidence that I had put up, and we were about to do closings and get that conviction for her.
But Maurice has other plans.
What do you mean he's gone?
And on this morning, Maurice was not there.
Maurice had gone on the run.
Atlanta prosecutors are 5 days into the trial of aspiring rapper Maurice Nesbitt for the murder of his girlfriend of 6 years, Rashawn Jackson.
But now on the last day of the trial, Maurice has failed to show up to court. And by all indications, he's gone on the run.
It's getting closer and closer to time when court is supposed to start, and there's still no Maurice Nesbitt.
What do you mean he's gone?
They quickly tracked down Maurice's ankle monitor, and they were able to determine it was cut off 6 hours earlier.
Based on the information from his ankle monitor, Maurice was last seen heading south from Atlanta on Interstate 75.
By now, investigators know he could be hundreds of miles away.
Atlanta police now issue a BOLO, and surrounding agencies are notified.
He's considered armed and dangerous.
Back at the courthouse, prosecutors present a plan to proceed with the trial in Maurice's absence.
The state argued that it would be unfair to Rashawn and her family to have to do this again.
The judge agrees, and Maurice's trial continues without him.
The judge decided that we would do the closing arguments with him not being present and let the jury deliberate without him being present, which was great for the state. We can argue now, he did it, that's why he's gone, that's why he ran.
The jury agrees.
They find Maurice guilty of felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony.
He is sentenced to life in prison, plus an additional 5 years for the weapons charges.
But investigators still have to find him.
Maurice not being there for his sentencing was kind of crazy. It was very sad knowing that he wasn't there for his sentencing.
He moved underground, he was just moving around so that he couldn't be seen.
Weeks go by with no sign of the wanted fugitive and no leads on his whereabouts.
Since his mother's from Mexico, they think he could have fled the country.
The Mexican authorities got involved, and they did everything in their power to track him down. Unfortunately, there were never any solid leads.
Weeks turn into months, and months turn into years with no sign of Maurice.
3.5 long years go by without any new developments. But that changes on April 12, 2021, when the case receives renewed national attention.
The story is featured on In Pursuit with John Walsh and America's Most Wanted.
The tactic pays off.
Someone watching the show recognized him as their roommate and called the police to have him arrested.
The anonymous tipster says that Maurice is living under an assumed identity in Birmingham, Alabama.
They actually give the police the exact address where Maurice is hiding out.
On April 19th, police finally arrest Maurice Nesbitt again. And this time, they aren't letting him go.
Maurice is extradited back to Georgia, where he finally begins to serve the prison sentence the jury handed to him.
The same judge that tried the case sentenced him formally to the life plus 5 years, and he's been in custody ever since.
That brings great big relief. I'm pretty sure in the family's life, and mine, and everybody that was close to her, it brought big relief. It was definitely closure for a lot of people.
For any woman that is in a situation like Rashawn was in, there are resources to help you get out of that situation before he ends up harming you too.
We have these good hoochie mama dresses.
She'd always followed her own path.
Kelly was known to be a force to be reckoned with. You look beautiful, and it's nice. She was a big personality. Everyone loved her. She was an inspiration to people. She was my rock. She touched lives. I was proud of her.
Until it all came to a tragic end.
I saw the door open, the woman get thrown out.
She was shot. I was devastated. I was in shock. Everything just kind of went blank. This can't be happening. Not one of mine.
Her death leaves the community desperate for answers.
Was this a hate crime?
My sisters die on a daily basis.
But can police bring her killer to justice?
You wanna go for a ride?
He's portraying himself as a good Samaritan. But what's the story here? There's definitely more to it.
I was angry. I was furious.
They got in my car and they wouldn't get out.
This individual that appeared to be female, when they spoke, was a male.
It's always the gay panic defense.
December 7th, 2018. Detroit, Michigan. Once a powerhouse of American industry, the Motor City is struggling to reinvent itself.
Detroit's a great town, but it's a gritty town. And we've experienced some very serious housing and economic crises. So it's really been trying to bounce back from all of that.
Detroit is making a comeback. Our city is on the up and coming.
But every reinvention has setbacks. Early that Friday morning, Detroit 911 receives an urgent call from the vicinity of Palmer Park.
Palmer Park is a historical park in the city of Detroit, located in the University District.
The Palmer Park area in the night can be a little bit of a sketchy place.
This woman needs help.
The caller says there was a woman lying in the street.
I think she's hurt. Just get somebody out here.
It was approximately 5:55 in the morning.
Police are on the scene within minutes.
My victim was laying on the ground, face up, on the corner. She was grasping what appeared to be a metal spike or like a piece of scissors.
And she's bleeding from what appears to be a single gunshot wound.
It was her left side right here, like in the armpit area.
Oh, she's gone.
The individual was deceased on scene.
According to the ID, the police find in the purse, the dead woman's name is Kelly Stowe.
"36-year-old Kelly Stowe always had a strong sense of self."
Kelly was a force to be reckoned with.
She had her own thoughts, her own mind, but she was very special.
Not only was she beautiful and poised, but she was also generous, kind, loving, supportive. The community loved her.
But it had taken determination to get there.
Kelly wasn't born a woman.
He was born Tristan. He was a grandma's baby, the light of everybody's life, spoiled rotten.
We're a small family, but we love strong. And we're there, for each other, because we realize that we're all we have.
And even from a young age, everyone realized that Tristan was different.
The earliest I remember, I know like at 7, she would come home and, be crying, kids teasing her. I didn't really realize how much it affected me, but it was like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. God don't make no mistakes.
Throughout high school, Tristan struggled to fit in.
She got into sports. She started off with track. She did pretty good. Then she got into football, and me and her dad made her stay with football. She hated it. We found out years later she hated football, but she stayed with it.
She was well known for her athleticism.
She got a partial scholarship to college and everything.
But her heart was never truly in it.
It was rough in college. She ended up doing 2 years and then decided to come home.
And when she came home, she finally started to embrace her true self.
We talked about careers, what you want to do. So she was always in fashion and makeup and things of that nature. So we found the International Institute for Design and Technology. She enrolled there. It was like, oh gosh, she finally found a school where she felt like she fit in. Thank God. From there, she just flourished.
That's where she really found herself.
It was then that Tristan became Kelly.
She was like, Mother, when I'm a woman, I feel empowered. I feel strong. I feel beautiful. And it was like, wow. I respect and love her for the fact that she accepted her truth. Nobody should hold nothing in if it's detrimental. Just be happy and live, you know?
But it was when Kelly discovered the world of ballroom that she really found a home.
The ballroom scene started in New York, where the Black and Latino community decided to come together and put on their own pageants and their own celebrations of who they are and their identities, and created a space that was just for them.
When we were watching TV and saw people at BET Awards and walking on the red carpets, in our minds, we knew that we won't be able to do that. So we created our own space where we awarded ourselves and gave ourselves praise. So that's why it's important. It's ours.
When it came to the ballroom scene, Kelly came alive. People could recognize her from a mile away. 6'4" stature, beautiful, confident.
She was a winner. When she stepped on the floor, she won. And if she didn't win, like, you knew she was there.
But Kelly was more than just a fierce competitor.
Girl, try this one on too. Stop playing.
She was also a role model.
I didn't know how to do hair and makeup when I was younger, so of course she taught me.
This is a good braid of hair. What kind of braid this is, honey? She did my hair. She dressed me.
She gave me the motivation. She let me know that I could do it.
She was my rock. She was my big sister, but she also was my mentor.
But now, the special woman who commanded the ballroom floor lies dead on a Detroit street corner.
She succumbed to a gunshot wound. Other than her personal effects, there was one spent shell casing.
And while Kelly died clutching half of a pair of scissors in her hand, there is no sign of a gun.
It's definitely a homicide.
But could it be more than that?
We've got one female deceased. Can you go ahead and start major crimes in the ME?
A transgender woman had been murdered.
It is so dangerous for them just to be who they are.
Was this a hate crime?
After leaving her old life behind, Kelly Stowe had gone on to shine in the world of ballroom.
She loved it. That seemed to bring her a lot of joy.
It is the best thing in the world when you are finally able to be your authentic self.
So we have these good hoochie mama dresses.
She was bold, beautiful, and funny, and intelligent. She was warm, and everyone loved her because she always had a loving smile on her face. She was a big personality.
And she was a role model to those around her.
When people are not afraid to be their authentic selves and be out there, that starts to break down barriers.
She felt comfortable living her own life and her own truth.
But now Kelly's life has come to a sudden, violent end.
She is dead on a Detroit street corner, killed by a single gunshot wound.
So investigators really needed to know if Kelly was the target of a hate crime.
A hate crime is anytime you intentionally assault somebody just because of their sexual orientation, their social status, their religion, their ethnicity.
A lot of people take for granted the little things that are really unsafe for my community. It's not safe for every trans person to take the bus or go to the gas station to get a pack of cigarettes. The daily things that we take for granted are some of the reasons as to why my sisters die on a daily basis.
Living this lifestyle, we have lost a lot of people, and it puts you in a scary place.
It's being normalized, killing trans women.
For the moment, the detectives aren't sure what motivated the murder, or if Kelly was even shot on the street corner.
This could have been someone that's dumped out of a vehicle This could have been an old scent shell casing.
However, since the victim is trans, the detectives have to take that into account.
At the onset of any investigation, you have to follow the evidence, right?
And based on where they found Kelly, the detectives have reason to believe the crime could be motivated by anti-trans prejudice.
Trans women of color, particularly, congregate in the 6 Mile and Woodward area, which is Palmer Park area in Detroit. It's been like that for quite a while. There is an LGBT center there.
It's the only place in the city that will take them in. No homeless shelter will take in a trans person in the city because most of them are faith-based. So there's just no support system for this community.
To survive, many turn to sex work.
When I was younger, I was doing sex work, survival sex work. I didn't like it. I don't like it. It's very dark, creepy, scary. If you're there, know that you feel in your mind there's no other choice.
Nobody in their right mind wakes up and says, this is what I want to do for a living. They don't have any other option to have the things that they need in order to survive, whatever that is, whether that's food, whether that's access to hormones, medication, a roof over their head, a phone to be able to call their loved ones.
The detectives suspect sex work could explain why they found Kelly's body near Palmer Park.
It has been historically a place where you find prostitution.
If someone is looking for a target, if they're looking to murder a transgender woman, the Palmer Park area would be the perfect place to do that.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that her death was a result of a hate crime.
Hoping for insight, detectives start knocking on doors around the park.
They're looking for more witnesses, right? People who were in maybe the park area, but it seems like nobody saw anything.
A lot of times, the community doesn't want to step forward. A lot of times, it's mistrust of the police. They don't want to be targeted themselves or retaliated against. We can do what we can, but they still have to live in that community at the end of the day.
However, the canvas does produce one thing that could be useful.
There was a church across the street that had video.
But before the detectives can get a copy of the video, 911 dispatch gets another urgent call.
The call came in about 6:30 in the morning.
I'd like to report a shooting.
It's coming from a gentleman who says that he experienced a robbery in the area earlier that morning.
They got in my car. They wouldn't get out. Give me money, get out.
He said that he had to shoot them.
Detectives investigating the shooting that killed Kelly Stowe have just been informed that dispatch received a 911 call from a man who says he may be responsible.
He said that he was driving early morning on his way to work and got flagged down by someone right outside of Palmer Park.
It looks like she was in distress. I slowed down to see if she needed any help.
The caller, 46-year-old Albert Weathers, says he'd stopped to see if she needed assistance.
We learned that he was a pastor of a church in Sterling Heights.
He does also say that he was a form of law enforcement because he was an armed guard at the Water Authority. So he had a little bit of training.
You okay, man? Oh, God, I didn't think you'd stop.
He said that he was surprised when she had a low voice, like a man.
But he says it's what happened next that really took him by surprise.
Give me your money. The woman attempted to get in the car and rob him.
She pulled something out of her purse. It looked like a knife. Give me your money, get out!
He says that he'd instinctively gone for his gun.
In addition to being a security guard, he has a concealed carry permit.
Out, now! It just happened so
He said that he was aware that the gun went off. He didn't know if he had shot the person.
I wasn't even aiming at her.
He said she fell back out of the car. He yanked the door closed and then drove off.
You scared me to death.
He said it wasn't until he calmed down and started thinking straight that he called 911.
When the detectives return to the precinct to reach out to Albert, he agrees to come in and give them a statement.
He wasn't too hesitant about telling his story.
Thank you.
While they wait for him to arrive, word of Kelly's death spreads through Detroit's tight-knit trans community.
In our community, news travels fast. Like, I found out immediately.
When I got that call, I was devastated. I was in shock because I literally talked to her a couple days before.
The news also reaches Kelly's family.
A friend of hers had called, and she said, well, on the news, they had this story that a trans woman was killed, and I think it was Kelly.
I guess everything just kind of went blank for a little while because I couldn't just get that together. You know, she's dead.
I was just like, this can't be happening. Not one of mine. You know, that happens to other people.
While Kelly's family reels from the news of her death, Albert arrives at the station to give his formal statement.
He appeared to be very forthcoming.
I'm just, still shaken up by the situation.
Yes, sir.
He starts the interview by telling the detective what happened that morning.
He told us that he was on the way to work and realized that he didn't have enough gas.
I needed, to stop at the gas station.
He went to a gas station that he was familiar with in the area and comes to the intersection of Brush and 6 Mile. That's when an individual on the corner waved her hands like this, as if they were in distress and needed help.
And so as I raised the window down, that individual unlocked my door and proceeded to get in my vehicle.
When asked what happened next, he said this individual immediately requested money from him.
And that's when this individual that appeared to be female, but when they spoke, was a male voice.
I'm trying to help you.
He stated he refused to give money and requested that she exit his vehicle.
And from what he said, she wouldn't get out.
Albert says that's when Kelly had pulled something from her bag.
Something metal. It was metal.
He cross-drew his firearm, instructed Kelly to exit his vehicle again.
You gonna pull a gun? And actually, instead of being scared by the pistol, the woman actually just started yelling.
And then they kind of was coming toward me. That's when the gun went off.
He stated that she collapsed to the ground and he closed his door.
He drove away and went to work.
You called the police when you got to your job?
Not when I got there, no.
He explained that he was all wound up and needed to calm down before he called the police.
He spoke articulate. He was to the point. He dialed in on this conversation when he spoke to you to make sure you understood.
He was portraying himself as a good Samaritan when he was met with not only a hostile person, but with the threat of being robbed.
But the detective can't help but wonder if Albert is telling the whole story.
So he just happens to stop and help a transgender woman in an area that's known for prostitution?
People going to this area, they know what they're looking for.
After taking Albert's statement, the detectives do a little digging into the alleged Good Samaritan.
He has no record. Everything is clean.
He was a family man. He was an upstanding citizen, a husband, a father, all the things that you think a pastor should be.
And they were able to find the conceal and carry license that he claimed to have.
The detectives also look into Kelly's criminal history.
Kelly didn't have much of a record either.
The there's certainly nothing to suggest that she would have attempted robbery.
What's the story here? There's definitely more to it.
Hoping to find out, the detective's next move is to follow up with the man who made the original 911 call.
He didn't see the actual shooting or heard the shooting, but he saw a man push a woman out of a car.
And as it turns out, that's not all he saw.
Then some man got off on the driver's side, snatched the phone out of her hand.
Detroit detectives investigating the shooting that killed Kelly Stowe are following up with the witness who first called 911.
And he tells police he's just been passing through the area on his way to work that morning.
I get the music go upstairs, and all of a sudden, it would call my eye with somebody being thrown outside.
He didn't hear any gunshots, and he also didn't see any arguing.
The car had stopped, and they surveillance to me. I saw the door open, the woman get thrown out.
He could tell that the woman had a phone in her hand. He could see the light from the screen.
Then the witness says he saw a man get out of the driver's side of the car and cross to the woman on the pavement.
They snatched the phone out of her hand, and they got back in the car.
They then leave heading towards 75 area, which would be east of that location.
You said you saw him walk around the curb? Where?
After the man drove away, he saw the woman on the street, and it was clear that she was in pain.
He says he then drove slowly past the woman to check on her.
I could tell they were moving, like wincing. So that's told me to call the emergency. Needs somebody over there.
Yeah, there's a woman that needs help.
But he had no idea she'd been shot.
Did you hear any gunfire?
No weapons. Like I said, I couldn't tell since she was moving, so I didn't see anything done to her.
Did you see him assault her or assault him at all? Any kind?
Just nobody else in the vehicle. None that I can tell. I just know from the passenger side, she was thrown from the car.
Parts of what the witness says fits with what Albert has already told detectives.
He said that he shot her, and he kind of just let her drop out the car.
But the witness also saw things Albert hadn't mentioned.
Albert never said anything about Kelly having a phone.
So now we have two stories happening.
There may be a way for detectives to uncover the truth.
During the initial canvass, detectives noted that there was a church nearby that had cameras that covered the area where the incident had occurred.
I had one of our video people extract the video from the church.
The video is grainy, but it does show Albert's car pulling into frame.
It was dark, but you could clearly see that the car stops, and you can see the dome light coming on in the car, and you can see there's some sort of communication going on in the vehicle because it's just sitting there.
Then a moment later, a man does get out of the driver's side.
It's very grainy video, but you do see that he then approaches the passenger side. You see a muzzle flash.
Could that be the supposed phone light that the witness saw?
Kelly's essentially dumped out of the car, left in the street, and he goes back around, gets into the driver's side, and pulls off.
However, while the video doesn't quite match the eyewitness statement, it doesn't confirm Albert's account either.
Mr. Weather stated that a woman flagged him down as if she needed help at that corner.
But in the video, Kelly was already in the car when Albert pulled up to the corner.
Which makes me believe that he picked her up at a different location.
The video also provides a possible clue about where Albert picked up Kelly.
The video was very grainy. It was dark, but you could most certainly see the car actually came from the street that ran perpendicular to 6 Mile.
They're coming from the direction of the nearby LGBT center.
A lot of trans people go there that experience homelessness, that need non-perishable items, a food box, and different resources.
Detectives suspect someone at the shelter could know more about Kelly's death, if they're willing to talk.
The trans community, for good reason, has in the past not really trusted law enforcement.
Sometimes they're sex workers. They don't want to deal with the police.
Right this way.
But this time, the detectives are approached by someone from the trans community who is more than willing to talk.
They really had decided that they had had enough.
I came forward out of rage. I just was thinking about my friend.
She is a survival sex worker, and she knows Kelly.
And she also knows Albert.
You want to go for a ride?
I just knew, like, this is the person that did it. This is the person who killed my friend.
She said it wasn't a robbery. This was on purpose.
Detectives investigating the shooting that killed Kelly Stowe have just been approached by a woman named Bridget who says she knows Albert Weathers, the man who admitted to shooting Kelly in self-defense.
He picked me up from time to time.
I was really scared for my life, but I also knew that somebody had to speak up.
She has known Mr. Weathers for a long time.
Yeah.
I had known him before I even hit the age of 20, and I'm 35 now.
And Bridget says Albert is no stranger to the women that work that area of Detroit.
He comes to the Palmer Park area and picks up prostitutes.
Albert was a client?
Not for a while, but yeah.
Why not for a while?
It just wasn't worth it.
My experience with him was negative.
There was always a conflict at the end of any of the sex work.
Whatever they agreed to, we wanted to change the price of the services.
I walked away a lot of times from him with no money.
She also tells police that Albert's behavior is aggressive.
It's like we was living a double life. I never would have thought he was a pastor. I never would have thought he had a family and a wife. He was very manipulative and verbally abusive. Like, he was a monster.
So you saw Albert pick up Kelly before?
Yeah. She had been on dates with him. I won't be able to say how many, but I knew that she was familiar with him.
That just changed everything and completely blew his story out of the water.
Well, we'll be in touch.
All right, I'll see you out.
After talking to Bridget, the detectives turn back to Albert.
He sticks to his story at first.
Well, I already told you. I saw her on the corner.
What if I told you that we had evidence that you're lying?
What evidence?
I explained we have video. The video was grainy, but it showed that no one was walking in that area at that corner.
Okay. I picked her up. We had an argument. But I didn't mean to kill her.
He said he pulled the trigger by mistake.
I just wanted her out of my car.
Why don't you just call 911?
I was scared.
Scared of what?
He's a pastor, and he didn't know how this was going to be perceived, that he was picking up a trans woman for sex.
As long as we continue to villainize trans women, we're going to continue to be murdered. We're going to continue to have higher rates of domestic violence because of the social stigma. The reality is a lot of them rather love us in private and kill us in public than have anybody know of their association with us.
But while social pressures and prejudice created the circumstances that led to Kelly's death, it was Albert who pulled the trigger.
I think that it had more so to do with...
Get out. Where's the rest of it?
Mr. Weathers not willing to pay for some service.
Where's the rest of my money at? Stop playing with me.
I asked you to get out.
I'm not going nowhere. You're going to give me the rest of my money that you owe me. You got the right one today.
I'm not gonna say it was premeditated, but I just felt like he already was ready for that type of situation.
I don't know what you walking over here for. I'm not going nowhere. You're gonna give me the rest of my money. Out.
He pulled the trigger and shot her one time. And then he just left and went to work, like a normal day.
The way that he left her in the street and drove away, it's sickening.
I don't think he saw us as people. I think he saw us as a lot of people do, a fetish.
It became pretty clear that he wasn't the upstanding pastor and father and husband that he had claimed to be.
Miss Albert, stand up.
After the interview, the detectives charge Albert with the murder of Kelly Stowe.
I was like, thank God. I don't have to go through life wondering who did this and why.
I was relieved, but I was more relieved that he wouldn't hurt nobody else, so to speak, because there's a lot of young trans ladies down there.
I was excited, but I also was anxious to know what was the next step.
The prosecutors were just as anxious.
At the time, I was a prosecutor in Wayne County and working in the homicide division. So Prosecutor Worthy and Dana Nessel, who is now our Attorney General, put together the Fair Michigan Justice Project. They asked if I would come in to prosecute, to start tackling the violence in that 6 Mile Woodward area against the trans community.
It has changed astronomically my community's view on law enforcement, interacting with law enforcement.
Our trans community, I think, is feeling a little more comfortable coming forward.
But then, just 6 months after the arrest, there's a development in the case that could undo all that progress.
Albert Weathers was granted a bond hearing.
When you're charged with murder, typically you are not granted bond.
But the judge in this instance sets Albert's bond at $100,000.
Only 10% has to be paid. So with $10,000, Albert's a free man.
I was angry. I was furious, to be honest. They literally just let a murderer go.
"46-year-old Albert Weathers has been released on bond after his arrest for the murder of Kelly Stowe."
During that hearing, the judge repeatedly asked the prosecutor what would be the harm in allowing him to be back on the streets until trial.
But the judge says Albert is a pastor, doesn't have any priors, and is not considered a flight risk.
Kelly was a victim in this case, and the defendant threw her out like she was trash and drove away and left her to die.
The prosecutor goes on to try to remind the judge that he waited an hour to figure out what story he was going to come up with to tell the police. The judge then says he understands all of that. But how is that a threat to other people?
I was pretty upset about it because the judge, in this case, stated on the record that they did not believe him to be a danger to the general community. So this was another instance of danger to the trans community not registering.
We were just all looking like, huh? Like another slap to the face, another like, y'all don't matter.
I was just angry. Oh my God, why he need to be out on bond? He may go and mess with somebody else.
This is not the first person that he got physical with, and I just feel like he's gonna do it again.
I'm next, is what I thought. Because I was the only person who came forward to identify him.
After making bond, Albert returns to his job as a security guard and to his church.
He even officiated at a wedding.
It was crazy. It was more like manipulation.
I wanted to go to his church. I wanted to rally like a group of people together just to go to his church on one good Sunday, right? Because I wanted to know if his congregation really knew who was sitting behind that pulpit.
Albert spends the next 4 years out on bond awaiting trial.
With the COVID, the pandemic, everything got pushed back and pushed back and pushed back.
It really had everyone asking, is he ever going to be on trial?
I had to just say, okay, God, revenge is yours, because it's going to come to an end eventually.
Finally, in 2023, Albert's attorneys reached out to the prosecutors about a possible plea deal.
I feel that we had a good chance of, obviously, a conviction. And defendants, when they see an onslaught of evidence, they make decisions based on that.
I think we all know that Albert Weathers had a history of soliciting transgender prostitutes. He was already facing pretty serious allegations, and I don't think he wanted all of that out in the open.
The prosecution also worries that a jury might believe Albert's claims of self-defense.
It's the gay panic defense that they want everyone to buy into. It's always the gay panic defense.
A lot of it comes down to what you can prove. You don't know what a jury's gonna do.
It's possible he wouldn't serve any prison time at all.
In July of 2023, Albert pleads guilty to second-degree murder and a felony firearm charge.
The felony firearm is an additional charge that goes with the commission of a crime while using a firearm.
In exchange for his plea, the judge sentences Albert to 8 years for murder, with an additional 2 years for the firearm charge.
I was not surprised with the plea. He knew he was guilty. We knew he was guilty. They knew he was guilty. The judge knew, but that's not a sentence.
Of course, you know, you hear murder, you want 20, 25 years, but the prosecutor, she was very good in explaining how that system worked. So once she broke it down and when it came back to what they said, I was okay with that.
For murder, too, for someone who has no prior criminal history, these numbers are actually within the realm of what they could get after a trial.
Everyone would have liked to see him serve more time, but I also think after so long, I think everyone was glad to see that justice was being served in some way.
I'm glad that finally this was an end and he admitted guilt.
The family does have a little bit of closure that Mr. Weathers is sitting down in prison, and hopefully he will understand why he's there.
And while that hardly makes up for the loss of Kelly's life, those that loved her are dedicated to ensuring that others don't suffer the same fate.
I didn't get a chance to save my friend. Like, I'm an advocate in the community now.
What happened to Kelly and what has happened to so many other transgender women of color who find themselves in survival sex work is that they couldn't find work elsewhere. So the lesson for all of us is to just tear down these barriers.
Allies. Let's create businesses. Let's create opportunities. If we all sit at a table, right, we can build.
It's a fitting tribute to the woman who meant so much to so many.
She touched lives, her dignity, and her desire just to help others in her community.
I mean, don't look good whatever you wear.
Will continue to live on.
Remember the name Kelly Stowe.